Hey guys, Chris and Jamie here from Tillman Family Farms. Today we are going to start a series on how to become a pig farmer, or where to start to become a pig farmer. So we've got a couple of chores that we're about to do. We're going to go out to a couple of pig groups. So we're going to talk to you guys about some of the things that we got started with, some of the thought processes that are behind that, and we'll just go from there and give you guys a pretty good idea of where we came from to get started in this business. All right, so one of the first things that you want to consider when you're thinking about getting into pig farming is why. What are you going to do with the animals? Are you going to try to sell meat? Are you going to try to sell piglets? Are you just raising pigs for yourself? You need to figure out the why first. And then there's a whole host of questions to follow after you have asked why. Before you ever have a product to sell, you need to have a place to sell it. You need to have some type of marketing in place, some type of farmer's market picked out, that you've scouted out, that you've gone to, that you've tried your best to make a good, firm decision that you could actually sell meat, or if you're going to auction off pigs or just try to sell them for what they are. Those are some of the first steps for you to try to see if you can do that research and accomplish those things before you even buy animals or even plan your infrastructure or anything along those lines. So for Jamie and I, it was that we wanted to get into meat sales. We had been homesteaders for quite some time, and we had raised pigs for ourselves. And I had started kind of researching a little bit. We hadn't had any pigs in a while, and we wanted to get into it to some extent. So for us, already owning pigs and already raising pigs in the past, we weren't afraid to go out and buy a couple. We weren't 100% sure what we were going to do when we got them. We knew that we wanted to breed them and try to have some for ourselves and produce our own, but we didn't know at that point where to sell, if we thought we could sell it, or any of those things. So after a lot of talks and a lot of research of our area and things like that, we found that there were a couple of farmers markets around that we thought we could utilize. We went and visited them. So we started raising pigs a little bit there, but that was our whole purpose, though, was we wanted to start raising pigs for meat and for meat sales. We didn't go all in and go big and crazy or anything like that. We wanted to get a few under our belt and see what the actual response was going to be to what we were doing in our area. And so that was where we started. We figured out that we wanted to raise pigs. We figured out why we wanted to raise pigs, and then we did a ton of research on where we could sell them. And from there, it was, how do you scale up what we do? So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but I'm going to save a lot of that infrastructure wise and things like that for the next video in this series. So I know it seems like we've covered a lot already, but there's still about 3 things that are going to be pretty hefty for you to consider when you're getting into pigs. Probably the next thing that I would think is, what kind of pig are you going to raise? And then where are you going to source those pigs from? There's a couple of different things to think about there. Number one, a cooney pig or a whatever some of these other smaller breed pigs are not going to make the mark when it comes to selling meat at a farmer's market. Nobody wants to buy a pork chop that looks like a little medallion. So where do you get those pigs from? You can go to auctions. You can search high and low. There's a lot of farms out there that sell registered stock that is, they have websites and things like that. I would suggest for you at this point to join some social media pages and get into pastured pig pages and things like that. And I would suggest that you sit back and you read. Don't ask a lot of questions up front because you're just learning. Pay attention to the questions that people that have already jumped in over their head are asking, because those are the problems that they're running into on a daily basis. So, but you will be able to make a lot of connections with people that breed pigs, sell piglets, and all sorts of stuff like that. The last part of that is what you want to look at is, do you want to be a farrow to finish, which is what we are. We breed our own pigs and we raise our own pigs out to butcher. So the other option is all in and all out. That means that you're going to source your piglets from another farm. So they're going to farrow and they're going to supply you with piglets. So those things are very, very big. Where are those things located at, according to where you are and where you're going to be doing your farm at? And then what do you want to raise? Do you want to get into the high end of it and be in the upper echelon of this market, trying to sell pasture pork that is from a purebred Berkshire or a purebred Hampshire or whatever it may be? Those things have a place in our market, but you got to find them. You got to do the research on that beforehand to make sure that you can sell it so that you'll be successful down the road. So one of the next things that you want to consider, and this is a big part of what you're going to do, is feed. Where are you going to source your feed from? How close is that to you? How are you going to be able to transport it? You're not going to be able to run a successful farm enterprise trying to source your feed from a Tractor Supply or a Rural King or something like that. You need a local feed store or a local feed mill that you can source your feed in bulk. Also, you need to think real close about how you want to feed your animals and make sure that those sources have the types of feed that you want. Do you want to do non-GMO? Do you want to do all organic? Or do you even really care? You just want a pig ration? You need to find the things that are important to you, and you need to figure those out within a source that fits you and fits the needs and the mindset that you're going after in this farming enterprise. So last but not least, you need to look into processors and then the laws of selling meat. In most states, I know here in Georgia, to sell pork by the cut, we have to have our animals processed at a USDA processor, okay? So they have to bear either a state stamp or a USDA stamp. And in a lot of cases, that's one of the things that hinders us, because I want to say the closest processor like that is probably about an hour and a half. So we do have to make a little bit of a haul, but we did our homework on the front end of that, and we made sure that we were aware of all the different processors around the state that were available. We have tried most of them because obviously a lot of them have different sausage recipes. They have different packaging options. Some do a better job than others in some of those realms. So there's going to be some trial and error and some testing that has to be done in that area, but definitely find out where those processors are. And you need to call them and just have a conversation. You know, what are your schedules like? Because that's one of the things that we learned very early, was that in today's world, you have to schedule your processing dates way out. I mean, nowadays we have processing dates that are almost a year out, just simply because we know that we have to make them that far out. And we have to project by what piglets we have on the ground and how many feeder groups we have and all that kind of stuff. So processing, and then the laws. You know, you have to do USDA stamping and all that kind of stuff. So then you need to look into, do you need to have a mobile meat license? Do you need to have a farmer's market license? Any other licensing like that that you need to have to sell that. A lot of times your county ag division can help you with all that stuff. You can look up all your state stuff online and find it, but it's definitely one of the things that you have to do. And you need to do all of these things that we've talked about in this video before you buy your first pig. If you don't do these things, it is very likely that things for you are going to be very hectic, and you might possibly even have a hard time getting your farm off the ground if you don't do these things first. All right, guys, so that's it for this one. All the things that you need to be thinking about first before you're getting into a farming enterprise, whether it's pigs, chickens, or anything like that, you need to do the research on the front end. And these are some of the things that you can probably cross over to other enterprises. Also, we're gonna continue this series. Probably next time we're gonna talk about sourcing pigs and infrastructure, the different ways that you can do, whether you're gonna be farrow to finish or if you're gonna be all in, all out. And then we'll talk about pricing and things like that along the way. We've already got some videos out there like that, but we're gonna touch back to all of this because we think that this is important. It's springtime and a lot of people are thinking about getting into farming enterprises. And this is just great information to start with because we've already been there and we've already done a lot of it. I don't want to say that we're vastly successful, but over the last 3 years, we've doubled every year. So I think that we're doing fairly well to this point. So we'll get into some other stuff on the next one, but for this one, we're going to shut it down. I appreciate you guys watching. If you don't mind, please go down, like, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video.